I'm just so shocked by this that I never really thought of it, but there may be not just one, but several or even a series of serial killer truckers all over this country.
The job itself, in terms of long-haul truckers, lends itself for anybody who's predatory that way, because they are constantly on the move. There is a subculture within trucking where you've got, you know, the prostitutes that are there. And
at the truck stops.
At the truck stops. They live high-risk lifestyle. They are the women who will gladly get into the back of a truck or a motel room or wherever, whereas most women wouldn't because of, you know, the high risk of that.
We need to talk about scope for a second, because this is the thing that just blows my mind. Check this map out. This is where they found what they believe are murders committed by truckers.
I-40, which goes from like California to North Carolina, I-40 especially is known for this.
These truckers are constantly on the move, and you can pick up a girl in Texas and dump her body in New York, and nobody would connect you.
Well, the hardest murders to solve is when there is no connection between the victim and the suspect. So this is an ideal career path for a serial killer.
Another key factor is where they are mentally. 44% of these drivers suffer from clinical depression because they're very, very isolated. Factors of social isolation is depression, it's anxiety, it's accelerated cognitive decline.
Drinking.
Mentally, they are exactly, drinking.
So many people in America fit that profile. So like the depression rate, the alcoholism, and they're not serial killers.
But the big step is the fact that these guys that do this already have an existing fantasy life that involves killing and hunting and predatory behavior. So the problem that they're trying to solve is, how do I do this and get away with it? And if I'm putting distance between myself and where I've picked them up, where I'm, you know, leaving the evidence, and they're strangers, that facilitates that. In the early days of studying serial killers, you know, one of the things we noted was a lot of driving. Not the truck driver ones, but regular serial killers that weren't truck drivers. And what are they doing? They're hunting. They're going on night routes to see where they can find victims. They're looking, and being a truck driver gives you a valid reason to be moving. Many potential opportunities across the country, truck stops and so forth.
It's a target-rich environment, right? It's just like when you look at, for example, traveling nurses. Traveling nurses, well, there are some that are predatory, and it's perfect because they have access to patients, right? And then they're traveling. So there's certain career paths where if you have that predisposition, you're going to choose a career or some kind of environment that is target-rich.
Is this a thing that is talked about among truckers?
Truckers exist in their own world. They have their own language. They speak to each other in different ways.
So do you think they know this is going?
No, absolutely not. Here's why, because let's just put things in context. As disturbing as this is, okay, the Department of Transportation estimates that there's about 300 to 500,000 long-haul truck drivers. There's about 450 murders, right? It's still less than 1%.
Yeah, but 1% of any profession being serial killers kind of bothers me.
I'm not mitigating, I'm just saying, so it's only 1%. They're not talking to all the other 99% saying this is what we do and we kill prostitutes.
No, I know, but do you think, I mean, listen, people, there's a buzz, you know, in all professions about things that happen. With lawyers, I can tell you, there's a constant buzz about who's ethical, who's not, the whole thing. I wonder if the same thing applies to truckers.
I just don't think it's plausible that serial killers are going to be telling each other about that these are very serious crimes.
No, but they hear about missing women and truck stops and whatnot.
I think it depends on what route you have. If you're in an area where that's common, because like if you look at the map, North Dakota, South Dakota have nothing going on, but then you look at the Northeast around Chicago, it is blasted.
But the truck stop numbers vary. I've been to many truck stops at night while I was on tour.
Well, hold on. I want to hear more about this.
I want to hear more about although most that we've been to are well lit, you're literally there with nobody except for other truckers and the person working in the convenience store. I'm just saying it's very easy to get picked up as a prostitute and transported across state lines. Middle of the night in the AM hours, it would be very easy for them to get away with.
Which is why those that have these impulses choose this career as a very small percentage among all these law-abiding people that are serving us day in and day out, hardworking men and women. but we have a handful that hide in here that are predators.
Truck driving, you could arguably say, is something where you're going to be searched, right? Your vehicle has regulations and searches that are pretty normal. I've driven a truck across the country several times, and I know you have to stop at weigh stations. You have to be searched.
Like, I think there's a glimmer of hope, and it's actually the map. Even though the map is brutal, you look at how many dots are on there, there is a map, and mapping technology gets better and better, and they can actually use this mapping technology to focus in on the people who may be doing this.
Transient serial killers have been around for a very long time. You can look at the case of Israel Keys. He's one of the most successful and elusive serial killers, not only because of the military training, but because he plotted to go to each state and do his kill in each state. He has no tangible connection to that state. It makes it very difficult for local investigators to pin him.
Police agencies don't talk to each other. So if you've got, let's say, 3 killings in your city, you can't reach out to every other city in America and go, hey, do you guys have killings that are similar? That just rarely happens. And so as a result, you could have similar MOs all across the country, and those agencies, those police agencies, don't even know about it.
Serial killers knew this in the first generation of studying this phenomena. They knew, hey, if I move from one jurisdiction to the next, they're not going to be able to get me if this is what I want to do.
And they don't even know how many they've killed. There's one guy, Delmas Colvin, the interstate strangler, who was arrested in 2004. He told detectives he didn't keep tally, but he estimated between 47 and 52 women.
Wow.
Jesus, that's a lot.